Hello
Hello.
and welcome back.
Welcome.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Amy, and this is Girls Gone
Girls Gone
Spooky.
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 Spooky. We have an exciting opener for you guys this
Mhm.
week because Amy and I realized that separately, without communicating about it, we both got our palms read.
Yeah. How random.
Was
Like,
so random.
it was completely on a whim for me.
Yeah,
Just,
same. I wanted to see my friend who she was a former colleague of mine, and um, she left the company, and we were messaging, and she was like, "I'm feeling like a mystical moment. Can we go get
uh-huh.
tarot or like palm reading or whatever?" So she did tarot, and I did palm reading.
Hmm.
But yeah, I want to hear your story first.
Okay. Um, yeah, so it was not what I expected at all, first of all.
Mm-mm.
Because when I was thinking about palm reading, I thought, okay, like your heart line is nice and deep or whatever. But it was not like that at all.
No,
It was like a psychic reading, kind of.
yeah, like
It was
ask a
just,
question kind of thing.
yeah, she did like a full sort of telling me what she saw
Okay,
about
yeah.
me to begin with. And then
Hmm.
she asked if I had specific questions.
Okay,
And the she just like right off the bat I was astounded because she was like, oh, I see that you have traveled recently, um, and I see that like ocean and water means a lot to you, and I was just in Mexico.
right.
And then she said, I see that you have a trip coming up with a friend that feels like family, and I'm seeing California, and I'm going next month to California to be by the ocean with our friend.
That is so weird.
Yeah. And then the next thing she said was, I can tell that you have been doing something, as in work, for 4 years, she said, that you haven't really liked. And in 3 days, it's my 4 year anniversary at Denver Health. So
What the
she got the number of
fuck?
years right. And then she said that the way forward or out of that in
Yeah.
my career part of my life, she sees some sort of certification or training. And she said that doing that would be extremely rewarding, although there are financial implications, but I don't really care about that too much. But I think that's doula training, is how
Yeah.
I
Oh
interpret
my god,
that.
I just got full body chills.
Yeah,
Oh my god. Okay,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I've just been waffling on that for so long, and
Mhm.
it's, I don't know, this stranger telling me that it might be the right path
Well,
is pretty
a
interesting.
stranger with a purpose, though, I think,
Hmm.
like, I mean, and also she kind of, so I'll just interject quickly about mine. Yours is
Okay.
fucking legit. Mine was not. Mine was
Okay.
like absolutely crackpot vibes. I'll
Okay.
explain how I know that in a moment, but
Hmm.
continue because
Okay.
that's so cool.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot more about like relationships in my life, and
Mhm.
thankfully she said she didn't see any health concerns, which is always
Oh,
nice.
love that. Okay.
Yeah, but then the other thing she said is that she was picking up a lot of other people's energy from
Mm,
me, and she could
mhm,
tell that I tend to do that, which is true.
mhm,
I tend to feel things for other people,
mhm.
and I have a ton of lines on my hands, and they're not very deep, but there are just a lot of them. And she said that that's probably because they change, which I had never thought of. Like she said, the main lines will stay the same, but like
Mhm.
other little subtle ones might change depending on whose energy you're absorbing, or like what
What?
I'm trying to like feel for someone. They
Yeah.
might disappear or get deeper or change. And she said to start paying attention to them. Um, and
Whoa.
that's why there are so many, because I just feel a lot of things, I guess.
Like an empath, yeah.
Yeah. So That was very
That is so cool.
interesting. Yeah. And like I said, not what I expected at all.
No.
Because on the website, it was a 10-minute palm reading.
Mm-hmm.
And both me and my boyfriend's friend who did it with me, we each got 30-minute sessions with her.
Oh, okay.
And she's a psychic. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
paid $12 a piece because we had a Groupon. So it
Oh my
was like
God.
a psychic reading / therapy
Okay, when I
session.
come visit, I'm going. We're
Yes,
going.
yes. And I was seeing on the website also that they have a group rate for parties. And I was like, my,
Parties! Oh my
my
God, do your
next birthday,
birthday.
I know, just invite, I think it was like you have to have 8 people or something. So
Oh my
invite
God, fun.
everyone. I don't know what that would be like, but it's 20% off. So
That is, wow, your experience sounds so much cooler. I don't even think I want to share mine now. It's
no,
terrible.
I have to hear it. I have
Okay, it
to.
wasn't terrible. So like, so it was honestly, it was expensive. It was a $30 reading and it was like
Mm.
$70 or something like that. Canadian, to be fair, but still.
Yeah.
So we get there and it's in this neighborhood called Kensington Market, which if you're familiar with Toronto, it's like very, or if you're not familiar with Toronto, it's very like hippie, kind of grungy, like not like the nicest of neighborhoods, but it's got a lot of personality. So it's like a very, it's a favorite. It's a favorite kind of neighborhood in the city. But it's got that vibe where like, oh yeah, definitely there's a palm reader in there.
Yeah.
So we go in and it's this like little room and it's like Crystal Visions or something like that by Crystal. And the woman's name who did our readings, her name was Christina. And I was like,
Oh,
where's Crystal? But
go
anyway,
by
she
Crystal.
was wearing, she was like so unkempt, like hair in a messy bun, leggings, Crocs, like this sweater that said nope in zebra print. Like I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Terrible lighting, like
Uh-huh.
cheap tablecloth over a little table with a crystal ball on the table.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, chill, chill.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, here's your lifeline, here's your health line, here's your
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
No, none of that. She's like, okay, make your hands into fists and think of 2 questions and then let me know when you're ready. So I was like, okay. So she's like, okay, open your hands and tell me 1 question, just one of the 2. I was like, okay. So I was like, what's the future of my, like, I want clarity around my work life. I think pretty obviously, if you're asking about work in a reading like this, things aren't going well. So I feel like that already is like an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm feeling really toxic energy. I'm feeling a really like toxic male energy. And it was like all I could do to not laugh because I work on a team of women,
Yeah.
all women. And I was like, yeah, I don't know who that would be. I was like, maybe our CEO?
Yeah. Like all the way to the top.
What? Yeah, I was like, I don't know, Christina. So whatever. To be honest, I think like whether like yours seems fucking legit, but I think in my case where it was like, I don't know if you're reading my energy or just my body language or whatever, like micro expressions or something, or none of that, and she's just bullshitting. I think these things are almost always like you take what you want and you leave the rest. And I think it was just interesting because like what I took away from the work piece was like she was like, the situation at work isn't going to change and you probably should leave, but I'm reading that you're not the kind of person to leave because you don't want to be perceived as like a quitter. So she was like, if you're going to ride it out, which seems like you will, you need to find ways to protect your energy because right now you're getting like sapped. And then the entire time from then on, she's like, we should really do a chakra alignment right now. Like trying to sell me on other services. And I was like,
not right now.
Finish the fucking reading. Like, Jesus. So then we talked about that for a while. And I was just like, okay, well, what's your other question? So I was like, oh, I want like clarity around like the future of my romantic relationship. And she's like, okay. Like, what's his name? What's his birth date? And I won't share that on here, but I give her his first name and his birthday. And she's like, okay. So she's looking at my palms. And then she kind of like, whoa. that's a lot.
Like showboaty.
So showboaty. And she was like, this was the best part, Amy, and this is what like was like nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I'm really seeing that this person is like a twin flame. And for anyone who's not familiar with twin flame, it is like the buzzwordiest of buzzwords in terms of like this woo-woo era.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically someone who comes into your life, usually as a friend, becomes a lover. Usually you go back to friends or are no longer in each other's lives, and they're in your life to teach you something. So like Lucas is textbook twin flame. Like we recognized each other upon meeting.
Yeah.
The most intense, like so intense, like volatile kind of relationship, like beautiful, but also very volatile.
Yes.
And now we're just friends. And like it's beautiful that way. It was meant to be that way all along, but we had to go through those other steps to get here. And we both learned so much about ourselves from the other person. Textbook.
Yes. Yeah.
My boyfriend, you guys, is the most steady, like committed, lovely human.
Yes. Nothing.
And I was like, literally, I think I started like squinting at her at that point, like, so I let her finish, and I'm like, okay. And then I was like, yeah, you know, I don't really get twin flame from him. I was like, I've had a twin flame, and I know what that feels like. And honestly, I kind of am of the mind that I don't think you come across that many twin flames in your lifetime. But anyway, I was like, don't think that's it. And she was like, you guys just like aren't like communicating deeply. And I literally was like thinking to myself, like the shit that he and I talk about, like very deep. We talk about everything. And like I can talk to him about everything and vice versa. Like we have like the most like communicative, healthy relationship. And she just like really missed it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So then she kind of went, I think she could tell she was like really off the mark. And so she kind of went back to the work stuff and was like, yeah, but like I think it's like to get you back on track, like really just at least doing a chakra like assessment. Like, should we just do that now? And I was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So anyway, fine. It was just what an experience.
Yeah.
It was honestly fun. Like, but I had this like really visceral reaction when she was like, I'm sensing like twin flame. I wanted to be like, you don't say that. Like, you don't say that about him. Like,
because it's like
I got kind of mad. Yeah, I was like, ew, you're like planting some seed. Like, if I were a more suggestible kind of person, like that could fuck my shit up.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I was like, all right, Christina, damn. You're wrong, but damn.
There are some crackpots out there.
100%, and she is one of them, which is fine. It's, you know, we signed up for that. It was a fucking Crystal Visions in Kensington Market. Exactly. And it was a fun experience, and we kind of like debriefed after for a couple hours, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But I did something today. Are you familiar with human design?
No. Oh wait.
Okay.
I think so. I think I've seen like a image of it.
It's like super confusing looking with like all these numbers and lines and squares and okay. I just did it today. So I've done the like my body chart? Hold on, let me look. My friend and I were just talking about it. It's My Body Graph. So if you're interested in doing it, it's My Body Graph, I think .com, or just Google that and it'll come up. Yeah. Basically you like put in your name, date of birth, location of birth, time of birth, similar to like a birth chart. Yeah, exactly. And it spits out this like graph that like reading it, you're like, what the fuck is that? And so my friend Meredith did it, and she like raves about it. She's like, it's really cool. Like they talk you through, it's like a more in-depth version of your birth chart, because it also shows the positions of the planets, the date and the moment you were born, and the positions of all of the planets 3 months prior to your birth, which apparently is like a really important time according to astrology.
Interesting.
So it's like quantum physics meets astrology meets like energy systems, like Ayurveda, like all these different things have like come together and influenced this human design.
Yeah.
So like the
Cool.
core of it is they give you an energy type and an inner authority, and everyone is different. So like my energy type is a manifesting generator, so it's like we're the biggest energy engines in all of the different types. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like we essentially like pump energy out when we're doing the things that we love, but when we're doing things that drain us, like other people feel that too. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
really like energetically um not manipulative, but we impact others in like
Yeah.
how we show up.
Mm-hmm.
And like all these different things around, like if you're feeling frustrated, like that's a check engine light, like you should be evaluating what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to, and like what actually feels good. um and satisfaction is sort of like you're on the right track. And then my inner authority is my gut. So there's like voice, um mind, gut, there's like another like external authority one. There are a bunch of them, and then she talks through all those little details on the chart are like special gifts, and then when two of the special gifts connect, they're called a channel. So it's like it's just super interesting, and it
Yeah.
was spot on. Like she gave me
Really.
examples of like probably when this happens you feel this, and then it
Mm.
was starting to like all these different sections started to kind of like come together, and I was like, holy shit, this is like actually describing me as a human being,
Yeah.
like in a
Wow.
very like niche kind of way, because there's so many moving parts. And she
Mm-hmm.
kept checking in with me like, okay, here's your spleen, which is where fear is housed, and these are the fears that are highlighted, and these are connected to these areas and your voice and in your sacral category, and like all these different things. And I was just like, how is
Whoa.
this also accurate? So I
Yeah.
highly recommend it.
Wow. So you
um
get an actual person to talk you through this?
So Meredith, my friend Meredith, gave me her name. So she's
Okay.
located in Alberta in Canada. I can give
Okay.
you her name. Actually, I'll say for everyone here, her name is Jordan, spelled Jordyn,
Mm-hmm.
and her company is called Dune,
Mm-hmm.
Dune
Okay.
Wellness. And
Okay.
she does a bunch of stuff. There are like other, I think she does like maybe life coaching and like energetic healing kind of work,
Mm-hmm.
but this was, you can either do a 60 or a 90-minute session. And I just did the 60, but it was like so insightful. And she sent me like a write-up afterwards of all the highlights of what she
Yeah.
talked me through, my
Mm.
actual body chart, or body graph, the way she had pulled it, which matched the way I pulled it,
Yeah.
which was nice to see like consistency.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really interesting. And like the whole
Yeah.
point of it is to like just it shouldn't really be that you're like learning anything new. It's
Mm-hmm.
just showing you that like you were literally built to be this way,
Right.
and like here's what you can do to maximize, and these things
Mm-hmm.
are not going to help you. So it helps you kind of like add in things that are good and cut things that aren't so good out of your
Mm-hmm.
life. I don't know, it was really interesting.
Yeah. That is really cool.
Mhm.
Even if it comes back, yeah, like you said, it's just nice to know things about yourself. Like, even if you already
Totally.
know these things, it's
Mhm.
interesting to know that it's dictated by something,
Totally.
or,
Totally.
yeah, I don't know, or
Yeah,
recognized
something.
by someone else. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, like even the palm reader lady, like some of the stuff she said could have been generic and like applied to anyone,
Totally.
but
Yeah.
it's still, I don't know, it's interesting to be seen by
Totally.
something.
Yeah, it feels good. It
Mhm.
feels good to be seen. And I think I don't know like how much like assessing of you as a person she did, but I know in
Mhm.
this, like there were a lot of things that she called out in terms of like fears that were really like indexed, and like
Mhm.
strengths, whatever, and things that I know were I believed, at least before this, were exclusively brought about by like childhood trauma, and like
Mhm.
or things that things that just happen, not negative things necessarily, but just things that happened as I was growing up.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh well, that's why. But it was funny to see like actually I was already predisposed to those things, those probably just like amplified it more.
Right.
It was
Mm-hmm.
really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she was saying is around career is she was like, you have a hard time if you feel like you're being micromanaged when it's in, especially in terms of like creativity. And
Mm.
I've never thought about myself as like being a creative person, because I sort of think about like a painter or whatever,
Yeah.
like those more traditional kind of like artistic roles.
Mm-hmm.
But she was like, you have to think about it more in the terms of like creation, like, because I kind of listed off all these hobbies, because like the manifesting generators are very much like into a bunch of different things at once, and you want to like be good at everything and whatever. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, that totally resonates. Like, these are all the things I do. She's like, you make a podcast, you play the guitar, like
Mm-hmm.
that's creation. Like
Yeah.
those things are creative. And
Mm-hmm.
she was basically saying like, you she didn't say like you'll want to go off on your own, but like kind of like being your own boss is probably going to be a good like long-term plan for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so interesting. And then she followed it up, because for me, like creating something from the ground up, I have no interest in that. Like
Yeah.
that does not feel energetically like good to
Mm-hmm.
me. But
Yeah.
taking over something, or running with an idea, that is like really attractive to me. And she's like, yeah, your type. And she said this before I thought that. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, you're the type of like energy type that you're not someone who's like going to initiate something, you're gonna
Mm.
react.
Yeah.
So it's like waiting for the right time, waiting for that like gut instinct to say like, oh, this is what
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to be doing. It was just
Interesting.
so interesting.
Yeah, very. Wow, that's pretty cool. I had no
Yeah,
idea that our body graph existed.
I know.
It's
And
yeah.
it's like all to do with, yeah, same thing as your birth chart. Like all
Mm-hmm.
those inputs, it's the same exact things.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less, but it's
Right.
just, yeah, it's really interesting.
Hmm. Yeah. Very cool. What's
Yeah.
your rising sign again?
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm so spassy.
Yeah.
But
I'm
actually,
Leo, which is why
I
I'm.
yeah.
Who knows why? I don't
Honestly
know.
though, no, I mean like you do have Leo qualities. Like I
Hmm.
don't think you have like the Leo ego, but
Hmm.
I think you have like natural leader energy and like some of those other, like I can see that in you. Like you're
Okay.
not someone who's like a follower. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I feel like Leos are a very like dominant kind of sign, and while you're very like gentle as a person, there's like another part of you that I've had the pleasure of seeing that is like not so gentle, in a good way. Like I think like,
Yeah.
and the combination of those things like make you who you are. I think
Yeah.
I can totally see the Leo placement.
A little lion in there
Mhm.
somewhere.
All
Yeah.
that hair, yeah, you a lion, girl.
Yeah.
Y'all,
Sometimes
she's
more
got
than a
so much
Virgo, I
hair.
feel like. Yeah, so much hair.
Yeah, yeah, maybe more
Yeah.
than a Virgo.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I almost feel like I don't know what sign I feel like I would guess you to be if I had to guess.
Yeah. I'd be curious for someone like who's really into that
Yeah.
stuff to try to guess. Because
Mhm.
don't they call the rising sign like your mask? So that's what people
Yeah.
might see you as.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. All interesting stuff.
Yeah. I think it's your mask, but it's also like I think who you are when you're challenged.
Mm.
Um and I think too I was reading somewhere Tarot, do you follow Tarot reader Peter
No,
on
but you've
Instagram?
told me about that.
I really like him, but
Mhm.
he also like tarot reader Peter is so cute.
Yeah, he has the perfect
Um,
name.
it's perfect. But I think I was reading something by him that was basically saying like your placements, like we talk about the big three, but like your placements in everything, all the planets, all the houses, everything, like they all show up in you. It's just like in which moment, at which angle. Like it's like
Hmm.
obviously there's you technically could be a bunch of signs, but like
Right.
there's some signs that don't show up in anything for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Aquarius, Pisces, like I've got none of that smoke.
Hmm.
I'm all like fire
Yeah.
signs and
Hmm.
like earth and air.
Yeah. I think that might be true for me too, actually. I don't know. Look into it.
Interesting. Or do you have CoStar, the app?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at
I
that
have you
earlier.
on there. Yeah, I must have you on there.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
should we talk about creepy shit?
yeah, we should. But really quick, I have
Oh yeah,
one
yeah,
thing
yeah.
about tarot that was just a
Oh my God,
funny
yeah.
story because we did it at a Renaissance fair, and Dave and I got a reading together, and it was so stupid and so expensive, of course. And I think at the time I was probably 23 and he was 24.
Oh, this is a long
And
time ago. Okay.
yeah, we neither of us had a job at the time and we were like floating aimlessly. And she was like, "This is the perfect time to start your family. And I can tell that you're going to have a big family." And like neither of us know if we want to have kids. So
This is the
I,
perfect time to start a family.
yeah, like
Okay.
neither of us are employed. We don't live together. We're not married.
So
But
fucking funny. Oh
it's the
my God.
perfect time to have
It's the
some baby.
perfect time. What an idiot.
Yeah.
What a dunce.
So yeah, don't get it done at the Renaissance fair.
Yeah, more like a con artist, actually, out of
Yeah.
all those things.
I think it's like $30.
That's so
So
funny. There's one more thing I want to say really quickly that she brought up that I want you to look into also
Okay.
is astrocartography.
Whoa.
At the time of your birth, it's like where all the planets are stationed and which houses and blah, blah, blah. And it like connects all these lines.
Hmm.
And it can make you physically drawn to a geographical location. And I can bet you
Whoa.
anything, your lines go through Mexico.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet. I would put money on it. I bet.
I'm gonna check it out. Yes.
Yeah. And I suspect mine will go through Western Europe.
Okay. Ooh.
Probably France.
I wonder how we get that. Do you think they do it for free? Some service.
I haven't looked. I like have it open in like a tab. There are like online calculators. It's the same. It's the same as all this other stuff. It's like you put in your birth chart information and it spits it out. But she was saying that like certain, like in my body graph, it showed that I'm like highly susceptible to, like I'm highly intuitive in all ways, like with people, with like general universal like direction, like is this the right decision, that I'm highly intuitive in that way, but also that I'm highly drawn to these geographical poles that exist in astrocartography.
Whoa. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so curious now.
You should look into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
That was a long intro.
I know. But okay, but that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. For us.
And since we're on the topic, yeah, for us. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hey, Dad.
And my mom,
one person,
our faithful listeners.
I love it.
We love you.
We love you guys. So, speaking of woo-woo social media things, our theme today, which I suspect is probably going to become a bit of a series, maybe not in a row, but we'll probably come back to this theme, is creepy shit we found on TikTok, because holy fuck, there is so much.
Yes.
Like so much stuff. And it started because of Amy.
Yeah. I saw that on Instagram.
Oh yeah, that's true. But it probably started on TikTok.
Because I don't have TikTok. So, but every video that I see on Instagram has the TikTok
watermark
logo. Yeah. So I know where it came from. But yeah, that video was so scary. I don't even know if we can describe it without.
I think what I'll do is I'll share it. That will be like our post essentially is in the stories. I will post it, and then I will, because I have a highlight on we have a highlight on our Instagram that's like ghosts caught on camera, and then we have another highlight that's our spooky mascot thanks. So if you want to follow those would be, but no, ghosts caught on camera. I'll make sure it's on the highlight, so if you miss it on Friday, then you can go back to it. But first, Amy sent me something that I think she's going to talk about today, so I won't talk about it yet. But the second video she sent me, I watched on Sunday night. Let me just preface, I am not actually easily scared by things. Like, I'm easily scared if someone is physically in my presence and is trying to scare me. But videos, shows, movies, I'm usually okay.
This is not okay.
This video, it scared the shit out of me. Like, I was laying in bed in the dark and I was checking Instagram. I had finished reading my book. I was like, okay, this is a good place to stop. Check Instagram fast, quick. See a message from Amy. I'm like, oh, it's from Amy, my little fat baby. No way is this going to be that scary. I squealed so loudly in my bed and was eyes darting around my dark room. Like, and then I was like, well, fuck, I have to pee. And now I'm going to hold it until 8 a.m. because, or until sunrise at least.
Yeah. No.
I did get up and pee, but I turned on every single light in my house.
Yeah.
And then I ran from the living room to my bedroom when I turned that light off.
I hate that feeling when you're thinking of something scary and you have to turn the lights out.
Truly.
Just bolt away. Yeah, sorry.
Not nice. Yeah. Honestly, thank you though, because like it takes a lot to get a rise. It got a rise. I then sent it to my dad, who is such a scaredy cat. Like, the men in my family are the scariest of all, except my uncle. He actually loves horror, but my dad and my brother are little babies.
Little scaredy cats.
Little scaredy babies. So you're welcome for that, Dad.
Did it scar him?
Me for that.
Yeah.
I think he said like yikes or something in response, but I said watch till the end. I didn't say like this is the scariest shit I've ever seen. I just sent it and I said watch till the end. So I'm not convinced that he actually watched till the end. He probably took one look at that Jesus looking 10-foot man and was like, nope.
The only levity in that was when she was like, yes, it looks like Keanu Reeves. Still
I was
scary.
expecting her to say Jesus. Right. I was like, that looks like really tall Jesus.
Yeah.
So creepy shit we found on TikTok /Reels, but we'll just say TikTok because
that's easier.
I don't want any reference to my place of employment.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's my turn to start. So we're gonna start with a little quickie. This is from Dark Moose is the handle. And it's literally this video and he's like overlaying his voice on the video and it's all in Portuguese because this man's Brazilian. So the gist is this man is asleep in his bed and the video is just like him turning his phone flashlight on and like panning to his girlfriend in bed next to him and then panning to the hallway where you can hear a woman's voice saying like something in Portuguese, but he translates it to say come out here. And then there's subtitles for the man holding the camera speaking in Portuguese. And it's basically him saying like, that is my girlfriend's voice. And my girlfriend is asleep next to me. And he's like so freaked out. And so he like gets up out of bed and you can hear him like heavy breathing and like panning back to her. Like, am I crazy? Like she is sleeping there, hearing her voice, like saying his name, like Gio, like, and then come out here or whatever in Portuguese. So he's like, fuck that. So he like turns out the light, gets back in bed, and he's just like head under the covers, not dealing with this. So a week later, it starts happening again. There's video footage, and he's kind of like, you can tell he's kind of panicking because the camera is sort of moving around. But it starts with the same thing where he's like walking kind of down the hall, and then the space, it's like a doorway to the right and then like a wall with like a closet, and then to the left is like a proper hallway. It looks like into like maybe the kitchen or some other part of the house. And he's like looking at the doorway where he heard the voice the first time, and he hears the voice there. And then he's like saying something to the camera that they didn't put closed captioning on. And then you can hear Gio coming from the hallway.
Oh God.
Yeah. And he's like, what the fuck? And then he's like holding the camera and like his hand is like shaking. The camera is shaking. and then you hear it calling his name again and saying something else, and you can see him kind of panic because then the camera moves and you can hear feet like slapping on the
my
hallway
God.
ground.
Whoa.
It
What's
was
happening?
so freaky. So I don't know what the fuck happened.
Ugh.
Scary as shit.
Mhm.
Don't like it.
No.
Yeah, creepy as fuck.
Mhm.
So that was my first one, just a little quickie. I did
Yeah.
not go through comments. I did not try to find a part 2 because honestly the first video freaked me out too much. So
That's
we'll move
enough.
on.
Yep.
That's enough of that. So this next one is from Ashley, Crime and Scary Stories. And it's a story from Basto, Colombia, from a place called the Guerreres Educational Institute. It's basically during school hours, 28 girls living.
I think it's the same one.
Oh shit.
Oh, that's okay. Keep going.
Okay, sorry. So they're playing with a Ouija board. 28 of them playing with a Ouija board during school hours. All were rushed to the hospital with fainting spells and anxiety attacks. And there are all these theories. I'm curious if you have anything to add to this because I kept it really brief.
Okay.
But there were all these theories about what happened. There's this exorcist who lives in the US. His name's Chris Florio, who heard about it and believed it to be basically that these girls like opened a portal to the underworld. Others were like, oh, they all got food poisoning or whatever from the food that day at school. And then there was another one that was like, oh, well, the hospital actually said they'd seen many people, in particular kids, coming into the hospital in that same time period. So then it's like, did they open up some fucking portal to the underworld and made them all sick? Or was there something else going on? Like, creepy.
Yeah, either way. Because, I saw the food poisoning one, and they said that it was like in November of last year. There were 13 kids who played with a Ouija board and got sick, and they chalked that up to the food poisoning. So then when this happened with the 28 kids, they're like, is this also food poisoning? But I don't...
Why are they both playing with Ouija boards, though? That seems like a weird common denominator.
Yeah, and having the same reaction.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And that was shared on, not like the most reputable news sites, but it was on Fox News and like some New York Post or something. I know they're not the best, but it's very odd.
Yeah. And what kind of spin would they be putting on that? Like kind of weird, like there's nothing political about that.
Right, exactly.
It's just weird.
It's spooky. Don't play with Ouija boards.
No, don't play with Ouija boards, you idiots.
Yeah, we've said it before. We'll say it again.
We'll say it again. Okay, this one comes from Glowing Ghost Paranormal. So there are a couple from this one. One is in Appleton, Wisconsin. There is a place called Riverside Cemetery, and there is buried there a woman named Kate Blood. And there's a legend around Kate Blood, which like actually is historically her name. She was believed to be a witch, but one day she killed her husband and children with an axe.
Like, oh God.
Out of the blue.
Okay.
And some really weird shit happens around her grave. So first of all, the cemetery is set up where it's like there's like this little hill, and then like at the not valley, it's a very small hill. But there's like a little small hill, and then like all of the grave sites are set up there. Hers is like on the other side of the hill, like 200 feet from the little hill, like in the opposite direction. So it's like completely separated. And it's believed that she was likely buried there because of like what she was at least accused of, and also being a witch, like not just the murders, but that she was like maybe not a good person on a lot of levels. But a lot of weird stuff happens there, especially on full moon nights. People say that, and if you think about it, it's not like, oh well, there'd be like it'd be obscured by shadows or whatever, but like on a full moon night, it's like it's pretty bright. And people could see something that looks like blood dripping down the gravestone, and then in the morning it's just gone. Like really weird. People see a lot of shadows kind of like almost dancing around the gravesite or like walking around the gravesite. And it's like people just get really weird vibes like going by the gravestone. So
Wow.
I'll
With
try
a
to include a
name like
photo of
that,
that. Yeah.
it was her
Um,
destiny to be
yeah,
something
literally to
creepy.
be creepy as shit.
Yeah.
I'm just making a note to include a photo of that.
Yeah. I'd love to see it. That's
Yeah.
spooky.
Yeah, very spooky. The other one is the Villisca Axe Murder House. And this one actually
Oh.
like isn't necessarily like paranormal,
Hmm.
but in 1912, 8 people were murdered in this home in their sleep. Um, People who visit the home hear voices, footsteps, they see shadows and feel cold spots. You can actually still see where the axe hit the wall during the
Mm-hmm.
murders. Like, so creepy and gross.
Yeah.
And it's believed that the murderer, who was just like a crazy, like no relation to the family, like
Right.
nothing,
Mm-hmm.
waited in their basement waiting for the family to fall asleep and then went upstairs and like hacked everyone to pieces.
What a
So
nightmare.
such
God.
a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And paranormal investigators, of course, like go ape shit for this place.
Mm-hmm.
They like stay overnight and there's like a
Yeah.
bunch of creepy shit that happens there. So I guess technically, yes, there is paranormal stuff, but there's not like,
Yeah.
oh, the ghost of the daughter or whatever.
Right.
Nothing specific like that.
Yeah. I feel like that should just be torn down.
Agreed. Burn it down.
Yeah, just
Burn it
bad
down.
stuff happened
Really
there.
bad juju.
Don't
Yeah.
need it.
No. So I have 2 more. One is from Mr. Ballen, Ballen. And this is about the Capitol Theater in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is allegedly very haunted.
Mhm.
So I pulled this from the TikTok and then also from the Salt Lake Tribune because they did a full write-up about it too. So a man named Dave Murphy, who's a Salt Lake City sheriff's deputy who worked security in the building, is like on record as saying like the stories of the hauntings were bullshit. Like everyone talked about it was always like rumored to be haunted, but he was like, this is a load of crap. But he worked security in the building. And at that point, he started seeing dark shadows moving through walls. He said he could hear doors slam with like force that would vibrate windows when there was no one in the building with him. So he's like, okay, maybe wind, but he started getting freaked out. He saw a woman dressed in early 1900s clothes at one point, and he's quoted saying, "She walked right past me as I sat in the control room. My jaw dropped." Other police officers and theater staff talk a lot about all of their experiences as well. And it actually was featured, the Capitol Theater was featured in an episode of Paranormal Witness, which is on the Sci-Fi Channel. So if you want to, watch a full episode about it. But Dave Murphy was really intrigued actually by this Paranormal Witness show in particular because many of the witnesses are actually in law enforcement. So it's a place that like, it's not like these officers are like, these are not just like random people off the street. These are people who like, for the most part, think all this shit is like bullshit. And there's like a natural, normal kind of explanation.
Right.
But essentially there was an usher, it turns out, historically, there was an usher, a 17-year-old, who was killed in a fire in the theater in 1947. And they believe that potentially this is the person who is haunting, like mainly haunting the theater, although there are others. So Dave was there with a man named, actually, no, someone else I think was on duty as a security guard, someone named Josh. And he was on duty and he started experiencing some really weird stuff. So he like called for backup because he's a police officer, but like working security. So then Murphy shows up and he's like, okay, what's going on? Whatever. And they both then start experiencing weird stuff, shadows and stuff like that. And so they go into they're like clearing the area, like trying to make sure there's nobody. Because of course the first thing is like, oh my God, there's someone in here. We need to get them out. So they're like clearing all the areas, like main orchestra, seating, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, like they're facing each other in one of the aisles and one is facing the stage. Josh is facing the stage and Dave is facing like the audience. And he's like, there's something behind you. And he's like, look slowly. He's like, it's not directly behind you, but look slowly. So he starts to turn around and look, and there's this like burnt man, like boy, but like man, standing on like the first like whatever row of the, what's that called? Mezzanine.
Yeah.
And they think it's his ghost that haunts the theater. He never like did anything bad. He was just there. But he said that the second he looked at him, the spirit like looked back at him and like locked eyes with him, and they both went booking it out of the building. Like so scared.
Yeah.
So scared. So Murphy also shares, though, that he has had some what he calls menacing encounters there. And he said toward the end, it felt like they wanted me out of that building for whatever reason. At one point, he said he was attacked by the black shadows. It felt like I just got a punch in the chest. Literally, I could not speak. He said, whatever it was, it had the power to shut me up. So it's like, it's just super weird stuff has happened there. And they basically say, like, anyone who goes to the Capitol Theater, here's some tips. Stay away from the men's room on the 3rd floor. That's where he was like punched in the chest. Don't go down to the basement. No shit.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, don't get on an elevator. Oh, that's what it was. The first guy, Josh, who was there, the elevator went on in the basement. It just like got turned on and went up to the 3rd floor. And so he runs up to the 3rd floor and it opens and there's no one there. And he's like, what the fuck?
Why?
So, yeah.
Yeah. Elevators, I think I'm developing a fear, which is not good. But like,
no.
I saw some videos of elevators when I was doing research on this.
Like creepy stuff, elevators?
Yeah. And like, we did an episode on that kind of.
We did, yeah. Like, and like the Devil's Game and all of that. Yeah.
So
they're kind of creepy. My friend Raelle just got stuck in an elevator for like 25 minutes and she was like messaging me and I was like
panicked.
Oh my God, are you okay? And she's like, thank God I don't have to pee, but I'm in here alone. I'm freaking out. I was like, okay, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, no thanks. I don't know if it would be better to be alone or with like, a weird stranger.
I know. Well, that makes me more nervous. Also, shout out Ray. She's probably listening to this. Hey, girl, glad you didn't get stuck in that elevator forever.
Yeah.
I actually don't think I saw her text until after she was out. But I was like, oh man, that's scary.
Yeah, very scary.
Yeah. Okay, my last one is from it's actually from another podcast, The Most Haunted City, but they have like a very popular TikTok channel. And it is an entity called Pocong, but it's spelled Pocong. So it looks like Pocong, but it's Pocong. And it is in Javanese. So it's basically like on the podcast they're talking about like one of the hosts brings it up and the other one, who I believe is Indonesian, like is like, oh, like immediately reacts. And she's like, so yeah, she's like, it's so creepy. It's so creepy. So her brother, when he was 8 years old, like I guess they both have had a lot of paranormal experiences, but her brother's first ghost interaction or like spirit entity interaction was seeing a pocong in their house when he was like 8 years old. And he like went screaming because they look really scary to their either dad or grandfather. And he was like, oh yeah, it's just a pocong. And he's like, what do you mean it's just a pocong? That was so scary. But so it's, a word that's a Javanese word. It's a ghost that is said to be the soul of a person trapped in their shroud. It's also known in Indonesian as kain kafan. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's what it looks like. The shroud is the prescribed length of cloth used in Muslim burials to wrap the body of the dead person. And the dead body is covered in white fabric tied over the head, under the feet, and on the neck. So you can imagine how like kind of scary that looks when you think about like decay and like the other things that happen. So it's like kind of bloody and like got like goo, you know? Human goo.
Yeah. Ew.
So according to traditional beliefs, and I believe this comes from Islam, the soul of a dead person will stay on the earth for 40 days after the death. If the ties over the shroud are not released after 40 days, the body is said to jump out from the grave to warn people that the soul needs to be released. Once the ties are released, the soul will leave the earth permanently. So typically a, quote, fresh pachang is described as having a pale face and wide open eyes. Lots of other sources mention a dark face and glowing red eyes, and a decayed pachang with white featureless eyes, and a flat-faced pachang with empty eye sockets. So there are lots of different kinds. Seems to have to do with like amount of decay of the body, also probably like how they died, whatever. Popular culture often depicts pachangs hopping like rabbits, which is so creepy, due to the tie under their feet, rendering them unable to walk. Genuine pachangs are said to move around by floating above the ground. So more like, I think like Hungry Ghosts. I think they had the same vibe. Yeah, so this is, in some parts of Indonesia, there are variants that are unique to the places from which they emerged. So one is known as the plastic pachang that haunts the city of Jakarta. The plastic pachang's origin is traced to the purportedly true story of a pregnant woman who was murdered in cold blood by her boyfriend. This is so gross. When an autopsy was performed on the murdered woman's body, blood kept flowing endlessly from her body even after it was sewn shut. And that just makes me lightheaded.
Yeah. What? How do you
So much
explain
blood. Yeah, so much blood was pouring out that the hospital staff were compelled to wrap the corpse in plastic in addition to the traditional shroud before burying her remains in an undisclosed location. People believe the plastic pachang appeared because the murdered woman's soul wished to be freed from her plastic cover.
Yeah. That's so creepy.
Yeah. A couple more examples. So in 2007 to 2008, the story of an Andong pachang surfaced in Sidoarjo, East Java, where the ghost was depicted as a lone pachang riding a carriage drawn by a ghostly horse. The arrival of the Andong pachang is heralded with a sound of eerie bells. The ghost would knock on the doors of people's homes during the darkest hours of night, and those who answered to the door would be afflicted by a mysterious illness before dying a few days later. So don't answer the door, okay?
No.
Or look through the peephole and make sure it's not a pachang.
Yeah.
The Andong pachang story originated from the story of a newlywed groom who was killed in a freak accident involving a horse carriage. But some people also linked this pachang to the usage of black magic. So that's actually kind of a common theme as well. Two more. Pachang Mera, or Red Shroud Ghost, is arguably the most feared variant due to its very violent and dangerous nature, despite its rarity. It's said to be born out of a person who wished to seek revenge for an unpleasant death, making it more akin to a vengeful spirit often found in many folklores in the West. The red color of this pachang's shroud is associated with the feeling of bitterness, anger, and vengeance felt by the person during their final moments of life. Of all variants of pachangs, the red pachang is believed to be more likely to attack the living on sight and without provocation. And because of this, many believe the red pachangs are kings or leaders of some sort of a colony of pachangs. Terrifying.
Oh, yeah. Creepy.
There's a lot of talk about them being in colonies.
Ew. That's like
which leads me.
Oh, it just was reminding me of Harry Potter. I feel like I bring up Harry Potter too much, like the
Never too much.
or whatever they are.
Yeah.
The, like reanimated dead bodies. Gross. Yeah. Anyway.
Which actually is connected. It's a good segue into the next one. In the rural parts of Yogyakarta, there's a river known as Kode River, which is said to be inhabited by a massive colony of pachangs, numbering in the thousands. No.
Far too many.
Too many. That's thousands too many.
Yes.
Jesus. The colony itself is led by a very peculiar red pachang. So again, like feeding into this idea that they're like the leader, the king, who lived as early as an early 20th century local shaman specializing
Oh.
in, of course, black magic.
Mhm.
According to the story, the shaman's shady lifestyle and practices greatly disturbed the villagers living in the same village. So much so that one day they decided that they would not tolerate him any longer. And so they hunted him down, murdered him in cold blood,
Oh.
and mutilated his body. The body parts were later wrapped in a large white shroud, which later turned red because of the blood from the shaman's body,
Mhm.
and buried somewhere in a pine forest near the riverbank. In death, the shaman swore revenge on the villagers who had slaughtered him in cold blood, and so his vengeful spirit, alongside thousands of pachangs he has, quote, recruited over the years,
Well,
has been haunting the Kode River to this very day.
wow. Creepy.
And those are mine.
A colony of weird
So
entities.
creepy. Yep.
Yeah, nightmarish. That could be
Yeah.
a movie.
Totally. I'd be shocked if it isn't in another
Yeah.
language, like in
Yeah.
Indonesian. But
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
fucking creepy as shit.
Very
So
scary.
those are mine.
Exciting. Very fun.
So exciting. So fun. We love
Yeah.
fucking demons and vengeful spirits.
We sure do. Let's talk about more of them.
Let's do
So,
it.
mine, I did a little bit differently because I found one that fascinated me, so I had to get in depth on it. And then
Love it.
another one that is the one that brought us to this idea.
Yes.
But the first one is This Man, which I don't think we've talked about before.
No.
I hope not. But it's kind of a tricky one, and I saw it on, let's see, it was on Heart Starts Pounding on their Instagram, and she has a podcast as well. So yeah, it's a little tricky, and it really freaked me out solely because of the image that's associated with it. So this man, as he is referred to, first appeared in New York in 2006 when a psychiatrist sketched the face of a man who had begun showing up in her dreams repeatedly, bearing intimate knowledge of her life, and found that several of her patients claimed to have been visited by the same person. Since then, as the image spread, people all across the world began to come forward claiming to have also seen him, the same man, to have had various sorts of relationships with him, to have been given strange advice. And his presence seems both menacing and foreboding, unclear in purpose but haunting to those to whom he does appear.
Is it always in dreams, or do people see him in person? Oh, it's in dreams.
Always
Okay.
in dreams, yeah.
Okay.
So in 2008, which is 2 years after the discussion surrounding this man cropped up, someone named Andrea Natella was visited by this man in a dream and was given instructions from him to create a website with the aim of finding out his true identity. And the website made it possible for the This Man phenomenon to spread around the world, obviously, because World Wide Web. And then Andrea began receiving thousands of messages about this man and his role in people's dream lives. And so here are some of the ways in which he would appear. So the first one concerns typical nightmares where this man scares, chases, kidnaps, and sometimes kills the dreamer.
Jesus.
And the second category is totally different. Here, this man is friendly. He just stares at the dreamer, sometimes helping him in such a way. Outside of these classifications, we have a mysterious phenomenon. Several dreamers report an order given by this man. Specifically, he says to go north, whatever that means. This imperative appears in very different kind of dreams, but there is no coherence between these dreams, and we look forward to finding an explanation, which, by the way, that was an interview with Andrea, the person who started the website.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're looking this up, but I'm going to get to something in the end.
I just wanted to see what he looks like, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to
I'm
read.
nervous. I'm like, what if it looks like Noah?
No, I would have told you immediately.
Okay, good.
He
You're
doesn't
like,
look.
you are dating this man.
He doesn't look well. He simultaneously looks very average and also like very creepy.
Scary,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you look him up? Did you see the picture? Okay.
I'm looking at it right
Yeah.
now, and I'm
It's
really weirded out.
it just makes me uneasy for some reason.
I feel like maybe I've dreamt of him before, to be honest.
Yeah, I had the same thought, and I can picture what I dreamt of, maybe him. But anyway, okay,
Oh my
let's
god, okay, we're coming
continue.
back to that, though.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So I just picked 2 examples of dreams that were written on the website. They're very different. So one person said, "The first time I had a dream about this man, I was having a hard time at work. I had a dream about getting lost in a huge and deserted shopping mall. Suddenly, this man appeared and I started running away from him. He chased after me for what seemed like an hour until I found myself against a wall in the kids' area in a supermarket. At,
Ugh.
at this point, this man smiled at me and he showed me the way out towards the cash desks, and I woke up. Ever
No.
since that night, this man has appeared in many of my dreams, and he always gives me directions to get out of the dream and wake up. So, in that one, it's not like he's bad, he's offering guidance.
Actually kind of helpful, yeah.
Yeah, but then in this one, he's not good. So, I dreamt of this man when I was in the 10th grade. He hasn't been in any recurring dreams, just one very memorable and terrifying dream. In my dream, I was stuck in a room sitting on a stool. A few feet away from me, there was a TV set. I was visited by 2 men I had never seen before, not this man, and they both attacked me. I
Oh.
woke up covered in sweat and tears and I was screaming. I somehow
No.
managed to fall back asleep, then I found myself back in the room. I started screaming and crying. Then this man showed up on the screen. Oh, on the TV screen. I
Oh.
begged him to not harm me. He didn't change his blank expression or speak. He slit my throat and I woke up. I suppose he let me out of the nightmare, but I couldn't stop thinking about him for weeks.
It's weird, it's almost like he'll get you out of the dream at any cost.
Right.
Like, like, maybe he thought chasing her through the department store was gonna scare
Mhm.
her into waking up, and she didn't, so he's like, "Okay,
Right.
here's how you get out."
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Weird.
Yeah. So obviously, people have been really taken with this. However,
I've never heard about this.
I hadn't either, and I'm really disappointed in what I'm about to tell you.
Oh,
That
no.
the truth behind this man is that the original, blah blah blah, thisman.org, is the brainchild of sociologist and marketer Andrea Natella, who
Bitch!
runs a company called Something Marketing. I'm not even going to give her the plug.
Okay, yeah. Fuck you, Andrew.
Which specializes in subversive hoaxes and creates, in the grand European tradition of groups like the Situationists, which I don't know what that is,
Oh.
weird art projects exploring pornography, politics, advertising, and creepy dream dudes who don't exist. So it's made up, but like the people who wrote in about
Yeah.
seeing him in their dreams were real.
Yeah.
So I guess that
The fuck?
I don't know what the purpose was for this person, which I guess is actually a he, why he created this.
Yeah.
But I mean, he, I guess, created the image of this man. So that's his art that was being circulated. But
Yeah.
I don't know. He,
What the fuck?
it was all a hoax. But I was really into it for a while until I
Yeah,
found out.
same. Damn it.
So, sorry for the letdown, but he's
But
still
also,
creepy.
it's still creepy, and also okay, so someone had to draw that photo,
Yeah.
and she had to pick a photo. Who's to say that subconsciously it wasn't because they'd seen him in a dream?
Right. Yeah. It could be, but I don't trust anything that this Andrea person does
No.
anymore.
Am I a conspiracy theorist? I think I kind of am. And I'm proud.
Yeah, I think it's fair with this also because, yeah, like I already said, people were convinced that they've seen this man
Mhm.
in their dreams.
Yeah.
So it's like what we've said about Slender Man before too. Like
Couldn't
you
we
make something up,
imagine
and
it up? Yeah.
yeah, then suddenly it becomes real. So
Yeah.
I don't
There
know.
was some, oh, shoot, I wish I had like registered this more thoroughly, but that just reminded me. There was some psychologist who was talking about that. I came across an article or something like that, or something on like a blip from like a TV special about this, that was like the power of the human mind. The whole thing was about like the power of the human mind to actually generate a being, like especially if it's like a group think kind of thing,
Mhm.
where it's almost like, they've done those studies that are like there's a test group and a control group, and they all are sick, and the test group is like being prayed for, like by a
Mhm.
prayer group, and
Yeah.
they find that time and time again the test group gets
Mhm.
better,
Yeah.
and the control group either gets better more slowly or doesn't get better.
Yeah.
And there's something really
Very.
weird. And then, of course, it's like, well, is that selection bias or whatever? But they've done
Mhm.
like meta analyses about it. So it's
Yeah.
like, weird. But you'd
Mhm.
think, okay, that's a positive example, but couldn't a
Right.
negative example,
Also,
why,
yeah,
why would one exist without the other?
right. Very true.
I don't
So,
know, man.
could be this man, but yeah, I remember two nightmares actually, where once I saw his photo, I was like, "Oh my god, was that him?"
Yeah.
Um, and in them, they were both the same, and it was, uh, like almost all of my nightmares take place in my bedroom. Like I'm seeing
Ugh,
my
that's so
bedroom.
fucked.
Yeah, and it
You
was like,
think you're awake.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
exactly, and then I end up
Terrifying.
literally jumping out of bed every time,
No.
and so I was looking down at the side of my bed, and there was a person down there, and it looked like this man, and he had, like, a really weird twisted smile, and I was so scared of him, even though he
Yeah, of
wasn't doing
course.
anything, but he was laying down there looking up at me.
That's creepier sometimes.
Mhm.
When they're it's like
So,
the anticipation of like, well, what's he gonna do?
yeah, exactly.
Interesting, and it was that same kind of thing where he was like just
Mhm.
watching you.
Yeah, mhm. So, I don't know, maybe people did actually create this man out of nothing.
Or maybe he
So,
already existed and
mhm,
subconsciously Andrea became a part of her own fucking study.
right.
Take that,
Yeah,
Andrea.
who knows? Turn it back. But yeah, that's this man. So, I think we should
Wow, that's a
share
good one.
his picture.
Oh, it's already on the list.
Okay, good.
That's creepy as shit.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
Scary as
One
hell.
other thing really quick about him that I didn't record was some people wrote in about having, like, sexual dreams about him,
Come on.
and somebody was like, "I can acknowledge when I'm awake that he's really ugly." But in the
Okay, well,
dream.
stop being mean to this man.
Yeah, but yeah, once people see the image, they'll understand.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, then I just have one more. Um, that's the Serbian dancing lady, and this has
No,
been all over.
creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, but so in 2019, a video of a lady who's dressed in traditional Serbian clothing was filmed dancing in a dark alleyway. And this
It's like so
video,
scary already.
yeah,
Like, why?
yeah, I know. And the dance that she's doing, like, I probably should have looked it up. I don't know if that's a traditional sort of Serbian dance style, but it's very odd, very repetitive.
And it's like, it almost looks like something a kid would do.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
kind of jumping back and forth, sort of twisting your
Yeah.
heels to each side. We'll
Yeah.
we'll post it along with the creepy fucking video that
Yeah. And
made me piss my
arms
pants.
wide out.
Yeah.
And it's like moving, I don't know, the bottom half of your body is moving, but your top half is totally still. I
It's
don't know.
really creepy.
Yeah.
It's
But
really creepy.
so she was filmed doing that. And let's see, it was shared on a Serbian news outlet, Serbia Today. And they also reported, along with that video, that when she stopped dancing, she was jumping out in front of cars and lunging at people with a knife and making threats. So
Charming.
she wasn't just a dancer, she's also like potentially a murderer.
Yeah.
But no one knows who she is, and I think it kind of died down since it first appeared in 2019, having a resurgence now on TikTok. And people say that if you see her, you should not make your presence known because that's when she will try to attack you.
Lunge at you.
Yeah. But now people, of course, in typical internet fashion, are making fake ones and also like turning it into memes, which are kind of funny.
They are kind of funny.
But, it's scary originally
It is
because
scary.
who knows why
She
she
like
was doing that.
possessed or
Hmm.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And also, you just said something really funny that I just had to write down.
What?
And I didn't really react because it kind of took a minute to settle. She wasn't just a dancer. She was potentially a murderer.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wasn't just a dancer.
Yeah. She was much
She
more
was
than
also
a dancer.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, that was funny.
and not for the best. So,
No.
yeah. But
Goddamn.
that quickly, I just have a little history thing because I like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That it reminded me of like the dancing plagues that
Yeah.
were way in the past. But because when I first saw this video, it was like somebody reacting to it, and she said, "There's no way that this person isn't possessed by something." I think she was a paranormal like TikToker, so
Yeah.
she is. That's not a surprise that she thought that. But anyway, quickly about the historical dancing plagues that I didn't really know. It was in 1518, so way long ago, and it was started by one woman named Frau Trophea in Strasbourg. Okay. And she left her house and she started dancing, and she kept going for hours until she collapsed. As if in a trance, she started dancing again the following day, and the next day after that, seemingly unable to stop. Others soon started following suit, and she was eventually joined by some 400 other locals who danced uncontrollably alongside her for 2 full months. I didn't know how long it lasted, and I didn't know that one lady started it.
Did they have any idea of like what the deal was? Like why she started in the first place?
No, they don't.
Demonic possession. Okay, so honestly, I kind of am in that camp.
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, people have some theories about the historical one, like maybe ergot or whatever that fungus is that grew on food. Some sort of, I don't know, like maybe this one woman had some sort of mental break, and then
like a mania kind of thing.
Yeah, a mania. And let me try to find it. This article is really long, so let me see if I can find it.
Because I could see that, like feeling like you just want to like kind of jump out of your skin, and then like just dancing. Yeah, like moving really erratically.
Yeah, right. But let's see. Oh yeah, here. So the part of what could have made it such a phenomenon was that I'll just read it. In a misguided attempt to cure the townspeople of the dancing plague, the town council imposed a counterintuitive solution. They encouraged victims to continue their dancing, perhaps in hopes that people would tire out safely. The council provided guild halls for the people to dance in. They enlisted musicians to provide accompaniment. And according to some sources, they paid strong men to keep the dancers upright for as long as possible by lifting their exhausted bodies as they whirled around. So it was like they thought, I don't know what they thought, but it was almost like they were encouraging the behavior, even though they were thinking they were going to stop it. But they maybe made it worse. And then they said around 100, possibly more people died during all of this.
Just from like heart failure or what? Dehydration,
like exhaustion, dehydration, yeah, everything. But what happened to Frau? I already forgot her name. Where'd it go? Frau Trophea. Eventually, of course, a priest got involved, and
classic.
He was saying, okay, all these people are possessed, obviously. She was sent up to some mountain to repent.
Oh, great.
And here, he argued that the collective psychosis was possibly exacerbated by supernatural beliefs common in this region, namely the lore surrounding Saint Vitus and his dance-inducing powers. So, I guess they believed in this saint, so maybe they were predisposed to have something like this if they thought that they were being possessed by his spirit or something was encouraging them to do that, whatever. But yeah, people don't really know what happened.
Interesting. That is so interesting. What the heck?
So, I don't know what to make of that. And with the Serbian lady, I don't know. Maybe it is demonic.
I mean,
but where did she go?
Fucking weird.
Where has she been since 2019?
I don't know. She's right behind you. Just kidding. No. Sorry. She's probably dead. She's probably some like poor homeless woman, and she. I hope that's not it. Honestly, why is it that I would prefer her be demonic than like some sad woman without a home?
Well, yeah,
dancing.
Because we don't feel bad for demons.
That's true.
We feel bad for humans.
Self-preservation, yeah, so true. Yeah. Those are both very good ones, though.
Yeah. Spooky stuff.
Right after this, I'm gonna go do my astrocartography, and I want you to do the same.
Okay.
Amy, but also all of our listeners. You guys, send us your scary stories. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
You could be famous.
You could be famous.
On our podcast.
Yeah, you absolutely could be famous. Well, like I said, email us, bitches. Yep. You spooky little hoes. At girlsgonespooky@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at girlsgonespooky. We're actually not on TikTok yet.
Oh.
A couple people asked, are you guys on YouTube? And I was like, no, but maybe we should be.
Interesting.
Maybe we'll start also video recording these.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. Maybe.
Come on, we look cute.
Every once in a while.
You can blur your background. It's all good.
My background is cuter than my face, except right now.
No, it's not.
No,
How dare you talk about my best friend like that? Dude.
Well, we'll see.
Amy's beautiful, everyone, in case you forget what she looks like.
Shut up.
Shut up. We will... sorry. One last thing, and it's probably a little spoiler for next episode, is I watched a show called 28 Days Haunted on Netflix. And it is hands down, the best paranormal show, most legit, creepiest I've ever seen. I sat down, I watched it to tail in a sitting.
Wow.
Was I stoned? Yes, but it was also very scary. And like the most legit, seriously, the most legit, like in terms of
Wow.
the hauntings. There was some hokey stuff that was very Zach Bagans. Again, shout out Rael. And Ghost Adventures, of course.
Uh-huh.
No, it was so good. And I want to cover in our next episode the 3 locations they went to.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe we'll do like an as seen on TV
Ooh.
episode.
Yeah, I'll just watch a bunch of Zach Bagans and see where that leads us.
Also, like that celebrity hauntings show and
Mhm.
Paranormal Witness. Like there's
Yeah.
so many shows that
Yeah.
I didn't even know existed.
Mhm. Okay.
So
We got work
as
to
seen on
do.
TV. We got work to do. Coming in hot.
Cool.
Stay spooky, little bitches.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.